Alright, these guys are working really hard at fixing this. Don't knock dirt in there. Put new tires on the WD-2303. Seems like every 8 years we put tires on. I absolutely 100% hate backhoe tires on those machines. They just don't, in my opinion, well, they work, but they come apart. 8 years with these things, they only run in the summertime. If you run them too low because they're a bias ply tire, they split out on the sidewall. This one had started to do that at the pressure that was recommended. I ended up, what do we have in there, like 50 pounds? It was up there, yeah. I think it was like 50 pounds because if you don't put 50 pound in these tires, these are good for 1 year, they split out. But if you put too much pressure in them, then they split out here. So there's no happy medium. So I talked to my tire guy, Mr. Donald at Ag Equipment Specialties out in Greencastle, Pennsylvania. And I told him I wanted a radial front traction tire. And he says, well, I don't want you to dig holes at the end of your hay fields. I said, I don't care. We dig holes at the end of the hay fields anyway. And I said, I just want a little better ride, and I want better traction, and I want longevity out of these tires. And sure enough, that's what they've recommended to us, was this Vredestein Traxion Harvest. I put these on the front of the 6210R, and it looks like little boy Blue and his wife, his mother, not his wife, my wife, are here. I misspoke. My name is Joe Biden. Bo Jiden. I knew a man, Joe Biden, and he'd gaff for you on every podium. Anyway, so back in this tire, I've got my vulcanizing for commercial use only. This is I think I said it already, a 15 to 20 minute wait time before you adhere your patch to that. It has to dry out. There are solvents in there that have to eviscerate or evaporate away from the glue before it will actually allow this to stick, because if it doesn't, it just gases off underneath the patch, causing it to lift. And in my video yesterday, that's what happened, because regular duty is 5 to 8 minutes, which I did wait, but the heavy duty 18 to 20. I had to look it up online. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put that on there, and then I'm going to start the clock as soon as I'm done. All right, so I vacuumed this out after dressing that up with a wire brush and using this liquid tire buffer and cleaner. This is kind of important because when you do use a wire brush to do that cleaning bit, there's a lot of stuff that'll actually just get in. You know, it won't free it up. And this stuff frees it up. This is a solvent, so you kind of gotta be careful with what you're doing. But anyway, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put the glue on, and then I gotta leave for like 20 minutes because there's no point in me being here. I'm gonna get high as a kite doing this. I hate this stuff, right? So you're supposed to put a thin coat on here, but it's almost impossible to do that because of the amount or the area you got to cover. And it's fine. These have salt. What I've learned about vulcanizing cement is that it also has a solvent in it as well to prep the rubber you are about to repair, right? And if you don't allow it to dry, okay, so it can appear dry, but it isn't gonna be dry. Even if it's hot outside, doesn't mean that it's dry. It just means that, it doesn't mean that it's dry, okay? Because the solvents that are in it will continue to leave the glue that you've put down, okay? And once the solvents are out of the glue, I just knocked that. Once the solvents are out of the glue, then you can apply your patch. Now, I was applying the patch too soon yesterday, and probably every patch that I've had fail while using this particular product. The glue that you get at the, Tractor Supply, that is a light duty glue, all right? When I say light duty glue, I mean for like car tires and things like that. The compounds in the rubber are different as well on some of this stuff. So you just gotta be mindful of the product that you're using so that you do get it correct. Now I've seen, the reason I lit that glue on fire here yesterday wasn't because I expected it to work. It was because I didn't expect it to work, all right? I'm sure there's some people that are like, oh, you idiot. And yeah, I'm allowed to be an idiot because this is my channel. And if I want to be an idiot on my channel, I will 100% do so. So why did I do that? Well, there was a video that I saw, and I had seen it a couple of times over the years, and I just never felt that it was, I never debunked it, all right? So they were doing a car tire, and obviously I did that on the outside of this tire, which of course everybody that didn't watch the video or listen to what I said in the video, they were like, well, I normally put my patches on the inside of the tire. Well, yeah, you're supposed to. And of course, people were talking about the vulcanizing machine. And yes, I still have it. And yes, I did use it. I actually, in that video, because they never watched the whole video, they were too quick to ask the question, whatever happened to that? And then tire eject. Tire eject is the other question that everybody has got on their mind. And the reason I'm putting 2 coats of this stuff on, I am liberal when it comes to this for a couple of reasons. Especially when you use a wire brush to clean this up. You really want it to be worked in. And you're supposed to do this in a circular motion, but you know, of course, I'm just going in every motion I want because I'm different. And then, you know, of course, then it doesn't work and I can complain and bitch and moan and whine and cry. But anyway, I just want this stuff to be fully covered and where it belongs in there, because you want it in every crevice of the tire or the exposed buffed rubber. And I think we're good. I'm gonna say we're good. I'm gonna hit this edge here just a little bit more. Now, this is a chemical reaction, this rubber cement. It creates a chemical reaction between this tire and the new patch. And that, I think I've got enough on there. Yeah, I mean, there's only like one little spot here that I am kind of concerned with. It's right there. I want this as high as I can get. And down in there, I've got a little bit deep into that. So you just want it to completely coat it. I don't know. Everybody's like, oh, you gotta have a super thin coating. Well, yeah, I agree. I do agree for the most part in a car tire because it's just a small little patch. Well, this patch is this big. And I got plenty, maybe plenty. I think I'm a little bit. I think I gotta go a little bit more down at the bottom. Right here across the bottom. It's always better to over apply your area. Have it wider. Because if you don't, and your patch is too big for the area you put the glue on, guess what, ladies and gentlemen? You've wasted a $30 patch. And nobody wants to waste $30 and 8 hours of driving. I'm back on these soybeans that I videotaped the other day with the deer damage where, you know, I was talking about the deer hunters, you know, whacking off to the deer that they look at. And I got some hate, which I expected, and that's okay, because I don't much fucking care. You know, excuse the language, but I don't much care. But I figured I'd walk back out here because I had said that I have used the Penergetic. And Penergetic doesn't work unless the soil is moist. It doesn't work well unless the soil is moist. And I also said that there was a replant, which there is a replant. And here's the line. This is the line of the replant right here. Where is it? Yeah. Yep. So I got some weeds coming up. I got some replant coming on really good. But the one thing that is really, truly super noticeable, and that is that the deer are no longer eating it for one very incredible good reason, and that is the repellent has repelled them. They have been repelled. Now, here's the corn that's coming back up again. So I will have to come back in with the Legrium or the, what did they call that crap? It starts with an I. But anyway, there is a little bit of deer damage out here. I'm seeing very little bit of it. But before, they had just wiped off the soybeans right off the map. So, yeah. And then one guy, he's like, well, where are all the deer tracks for these soybeans? Okay, there's a deer track right there. And here, and here, and here. Here's evidence that they were here last night and just ate that off. Yeah, so there are still deer here, but nowhere near as much as there were. Because here's an original planted soybean right here, and these are the replants. And you only see a few of the original planted soybeans because the deer that were on here had taken this off of here. They destroyed it. So, yeah. If you don't believe me, I'm sorry. You're probably one of those guys that sits up in the deer stand with a bottle of KY jelly and, you get that horn envy, All right, I had to erase some stuff. So the reason I put the patch on the outside of this tire, and I really shouldn't have to explain it to anybody, because I actually said it in the video. The reason I did that wasn't to keep the air in. It was to keep stuff from poking into the crack or the hole that was in that tire. See, this was a puncture. Somebody hit this with a bale spear and poked a hole through it, and that's what happened to this tire. So I put the patch on the inside, then I put the gum, the tire gum, the hot vulcanizing rubber or virgin rubber on the outside there, and I cooked it. I cooked it fast. So the patch is underneath. The patch is underneath. The virgin gum is on the outside. I cooked it for 40 minutes, and it seems as though it is going to be okay. And then I put tire sealer on the outside of it, which I'm going to do another coat of tire seal after I get this paper off of there, which I will wash off with soapy water. I put wax paper on there, and the wax burned out, and that was the end of it. But it is going to work. So that's just going to keep that hole from opening and closing, and it should be good. That's the reason why I did the patch on the outside of the tire. I knew that I would get people that don't watch the video and then be like, oh, you idiot, you did it wrong. Hold on a second. Okay, here we go. I've got the patch exposed. You can see I've pulled that back. And I'm going to start at the very top of this tire. I really am. There it is. All right, and then you just take your little wheel, all right? And you really got to do this right, because if you don't, guess what? It don't stick. So this is the proper way to do a tire and patch. These things are just incredibly delicate, right? So you work your way from the center. You do this, right? Right? And then you do this. Now, you really truly got to get this sucker to come off, right? That one's there. Right? And then you do this. And you really, really, really got to do it right. Because if you don't, guess what? You end up with garbage. Okay? Always start in the middle. Because you got to work that air out of there. And that's just a fact. And you and I do it like this. I am not going to have a failed patch. I am not going to have a failed patch again. I'm done with that crap. Holy shit. So, and that's the thing. The whole thing is to get every bit of air out of it. And the ability of this inner tube, not inner tube, this tire patch, has got to be able to make contact 100%. 100%. Alright, there it is. And so that's that. And then we're gonna come over here on my old ass. Okay. This might be too much for y'all to handle. No. If you don't do it right, there's a couple of things that you really have to be aware of when it comes to this. And that is, when you patch a tire like this patch does not become adhered to the tire right away. It's there, and it's on there, and it's stuck on there. But the chemical reaction that needs to take place in order for it to be truly vulcanized, and vulcanization is very important. I mean, if you don't have it, you just ain't got it. Okay, cool. So you have to press that thing up against it. I think I've got it. Oh, I don't feel any air in there, which is good. So in order for this vulcanization reaction or this process to be 100%, you need at least 24 hours before it is usable. And that's what happened when I do the tires in the field. We don't have 24 hours. We got 24 minutes to get this son of a bitch up and running, right? So when you got 24 minutes, and 24 minutes is really not much time, that tire patch doesn't have a chance to have that chemical reaction and stick to the inner wall of this tire. So that's it. I think we're good. I really do think we're good. And if there is air in that underneath there, you ain't getting it out. And in a matter of probably just a few short hours, you're not going to have a sealed tire anymore. You're just not. So I've got that done. It looks good. And the other thing is with these tires, when you do a tire patch like this, right? When you do a tire patch like this, you really need a great big patch. And the reason you need a great big patch is because of the flex in the sidewall. So you really want it to be, oh yeah, that's good. I am so happy with the way this patch worked out. Let's see, is there anything there? No, that's good. It's good. I don't feel anything weird. Right there, maybe? Maybe a little bit right there. And it's okay if you punch a hole through this gray rubber, because that's technically virgin rubber. It technically is virgin rubber. It just hasn't had the reaction yet. Once it reacts to the glue, that virgin rubber will then become the new rubber for that. I have another tire that I'm going to be doing when it gets here, because it's not an old tire, just like this one. It's the same year as what this tire is, and it really does annoy me. It really does annoy me that that tire cracked. It didn't crack out. What I think happened to it, as dumb as this sounds, what I believe happened to it is it had a slice in the sidewall deep enough right to the cord, not through the inner gum wall. And after running it down the road and in the field, it just was too much for the inner gum to handle, and it actually worked its way through. But this, ladies and gentlemen, really worked out good. I don't feel any spots of air, which is great. So That chemical reaction can do that. Now, here's a little extra that we're gonna do that some people don't, is I'm gonna put a sealer on it. All right? Put the bead sealer on it. Why would you do that, Mr. Pandy? Well, I'll tell you why we do it. Because for some stupid reason, if that lifts, right? If this gray rubber lifts, at any point it will just continue to leave air, and it will just keep working through until it gets air going out that seam, and we're not doing that. We're sealing that patch up. I don't know if this does anything or not, but let me tell you something. It'll give me peace of mind, right? So, and this is bead sealer. So it's a very pliable type of rubber. And if there's any issues with this, that stuff, if the patch starts to get hot and starts trying to tear off, this will hold it in place. It just will. And we'll be pretty happy with the results on that. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yep. There it is.